Hello my friends! Today in How to Paint series I will show you how I painted Jagdtiger, spare track links and exhaust pipes. As you remember from the previous episode, and if you don't remember, watch it again, I have set up an incomplete set of spare tracks on my model. In my opinion, such a set looks better than evenly arranged links. Additionally, there will be more variation on the model later, so it's all part of a larger plan that I'm going to implement. I start by applying a primer to metal elements to strengthen the paint adherence to these surfaces. Experience has taught me that it's worth doing because the paint sticks to such parts much more firmly. Then I put a grey undercoat from AK Interactive on all the elements. I didn't show it here, so you have to take my word for it. A thin layer is sufficient. I paint the black shiny X1 with the airbrush. If you ask why this type of paint, I can tell you that such a glossy shade always looks better than matte. Later, after all the additional work that I do, it won't be so visible and probably no one would notice that this type of paint was used at the beginning. I have prepared a special color mixture and the result is a dark brown shade that I think is perfect for painting the tracks. I also use the same color for the entire section mounted on wheels. Generally, by applying it to the spare tracks, I try to balance the amount of previously applied black and fresh bronze. I put the same color on the exhaust pipes, the difference is that there was no black on them before. After a few minutes I sprayed all the tracks and exhaust with easy chipping medium. The atomizer works better when applying to the entire model, and here I should use an airbrush for more point-like application. However, this doesn't change the fact that the fluid works great. Oh, and it's worth remembering that when the product is still wet, it softens the paint and you should avoid touching the elements at this time. Now a bit of the base color from the model, which is dark yellow. This is to add a bit of lighter tones to the links and exhaust, but also to simulate the situation where the entire vehicle was painted without removing these parts, so here and there some bright paint had to be found. Of course, I activate chipping medium with water and start to peel off the paint, revealing the colors. It's not a rocket science, so please observe the process. Using couple seconds while work is progressing, I would like to send massive thanks to all my patrons who support this channel. Without you guys, it wouldn't be possible to do this. Have a great day and week. So, if this is your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It would be nice if you could leave a like and comment and also take a look at my other videos. If you are interested in what I do, you can also check my Patreon account where you will find even more interesting materials. This is the place in the net where I publish the most right now. Just for patrons, I prepare reports on daily work, articles, ask for their opinion and show advert-less films earlier than on the official YouTube channel. In addition, there are a few other interesting perks of being a patron, but you can see for yourself. I think you won't be disappointed and you will see what other projects I do apart from those shown on YouTube. So please consider joining this superb group. You can find the link in the description of this movie. Generally, my assumption is as mentioned when painting Jagdtiger. Check the link above. One of my viewers told me then, and I have no reason not to believe him, that we as modelers paint the tracks with no realism at all. More specifically, he drew my attention to the fact that the spare links didn't rust in this way, the ones mounted on wheels as well. He wrote to me that from late 30s they all contained manganese for wheel resistance, although in reducing quantities in German trucks as the war progressed. It has naturally corrosion inhibiting, so track links actually didn't weather in the way we paint them on our models nowadays. They would generally oxidize to a milky coffee or milk chocolate shade, darkening to a dark chocolate shade over time. What is also very important, spare links were frequently painted black. Well, with that in mind, I decided to keep it and start to paint trucks according to this information. So I will use black, dark brown, small amounts of weathering paints and the dark yellow camo base color. A bit of polishing and very small amount of pure rust will be also added. Now the second layer of color, but this time without chipping medium undercoat. I put on much less yellow and start adding the base color. The most important thing is to use small amounts because, as always, better less than more. Each link received a new batch of bronze. At first it was normal standard painting, but after a while I move on to gentle dry brushing. In this way I smooth the edges of the color transition and additionally do a delicate chipping on the yellow color applied a moment earlier. So all my efforts will be directed to keep tracks looking dark and to reduce the standard rust that modelers typically put on these pieces. All the time I have in my mind what I said before about the dark appearance of these elements. Now I'm starting to work with weathering paints. These three colors will be mixed together to create new shades. I don't apply them to the entire elements but only to individual fragments in order to change their shade and color intensity. During painting they look quite intense, but after drying they become more transparent and matte. You have to remember about it when building subsequent layers and filtering the already painted colors. The typical reddish rust is just a little bit speckled. You have to look closely to see it at individual links. I did exactly the same steps on the exhaust, but here I added a bit more rust filter at the end. The exhausts work at a little more temperatures, so it's fully justified on these elements. One more round of dry brushing with the base color and I'm almost at the end of the whole process. A bit of black wash is necessary to emphasize all the recesses. I remove the excess with white spirit and dry the whole thing with an accelerator. A pencil polishing, especially on the pins, added some metallic sheen. This is how they look like. In my opinion, it was worth spending some time painting properly. They look better than rusty. Of course, I go back to the exhausts and add a few drops of wash. Finally, some smoke with weathering paint and they are ready. And this is all I wanted to say today, so thank you so much for watching, my friends. Stay tuned for next episode. Cheers!